I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
AutoSave, welcome to our
Today
channel.
we're watching Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai Episode 7, Shoko Maki no Hara. Why are you here? When you are? How you are? With a white cat? Explain it to me. I have questions.
And we're here for answers, and we're totally going to get them within this episode, within even maybe the first couple minutes of this episode. We're going to get all the answers.
Extremely optimistic, and I love it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. The beach.
Oh no, repeat beach date.
We're going back.
この辺の人って見ず知らずの人に突然話しかけた。もしかして私のこと変な人だと思ってます？うざい人だと思ってるだけです。うざい、ダサい、空気読めないは三大禁句。
Can't take hints.
何か嫌なことでもあったんですか？私は牧野原翔子です。牧野原サービスエリアの牧野原に大空をかけるこの翔子。おはようございます、お兄ちゃん。僕のベッドに潜り込むのはやめなさい。ただただ暑いからやめてほしいんだ。
August 2nd. Do we have a white cat in this house?
捨て猫と一緒に僕の前に現れた少女は、僕が2年前に出会った初恋相手の女子高生。同じ名前だったんだけど。
And yet,
本人は僕のことなど何も知らず。
oh my gosh.
何事も
This is wild.
夏休みは2週間。
Hairstyle's the same.
よしよし、いい子にしてましたか、颯。
Hayate.
引き取りたいと言っておきながら、なかなか両親に言い出せなくて。うちで預かっておくから平気だよ。ナスノも喜んでるし。妹は若い子の方がいい人ですか？私、妹がいい人ですか？今、楓は楓史上最大のピンチなんです。
In the history of Kaide.
妹を極めないといけないんです。妹は楓一人いればいい人だな。では、お兄ちゃんにとって何なんですか？
That's a little complicated.
何なんだろうな。お姉さんはいないんだよね。はい、一人っ子です。
Only child.
親戚にないと思います。やっぱり双葉に相談しとくかな。
Smart man.
I think we found the next I think we found it. The next syndrome. I think we found it.
髪を下ろしてると暑いんだよ。メガネをしてないのはコンタクトだからで、あずさ川の用事っていうのは。ああ、実は牧野原翔子に会った。あずさ川の初恋の人。しかも驚いたことに中学1年生になってた。あずさ川正気。よく似た同姓同名の別人なんじゃないの？には同じ顔をした人間が3人いるらしい。
Three people with the same face.
よくある都市伝説だろう。そうだね。よくある都市伝説。今のところそっちは実害ないんでしょ？まあないな。だったらいいんじゃない？
I don't like how she grasped the book when she brought that up.
そういや去年行ったよな、花火大会。国見と3人で。今の髪型で浴衣着たらかなりいいと思うけどな。あずさ川はバイトでしょ。それじゃ。相談乗ってくれてサンキュー。お前さらに日焼けしてないか？一昨日海に行ったせいかも。美里と？そうだけど。うざいな。
How'd that call
と
go?
んでもなく美人な彼女がいるだろう。
その舞さんはとんでもなく忙しくて、この1週間俺昨日テレビで見たぞ。安心しろ、テレビでなら僕も毎日見てる。
Koga?
おはようございます。先輩。小がって浴衣似合うのな。今胸見て言ったでしょ。腰とお尻のバランスも含めた上でのどうせ帯にどっかり乗るような立派な胸はないですよ。寸胴ですよ。いらっしゃいま。
Hey!
明日でしたよね。
ベテランの役者が多い現場だ。
We're seeing everyone in this
私も NG
episode.
出さないから早く終わったのよ。
で、一日でも早く
Obviously.
会いたくて帰ってきたんですね。でしたらご注文をどうぞ。注文をどうぞ。
何すねてるのよ。
すねてません。
すねてるじゃない。
誰のせいだと思いますか？
ボスも。
その？
ごめん。中で付き合って間もない彼氏をほったらかしにしているひどい彼女だってこと。
そこまでは思ってないけど。
けど？
お詫びには期待してます。
わかった。それなりのことはしてあげるから。
こういうことでも？
少しくらいならね。
ああ、許してあげます。
バイト何時まで？待っててあげる。なんか分かったことは？
双葉にも相談してみたんですけど、何にも。僕は舞さんともっとイチャイチャしたいな。せっかく久しぶりに会えたのに。
好きなだけしてあげるから。
今はいいな。
あ あれ双葉さんじゃない？
What?
こんなとこで何してんだあいつ。
私ネットカフェって初めて。どこだかわからないわね。
舞さん、スマホ貸して。双葉、僕だ。
なんであずさ川は携帯の番号からかけてくるわけ？
舞さんに借りてる。
サクタ、あれ？あずさ川どうかした？
What?
悪い。なんか充電切れっぽいからまた連絡する。
What?
ちょっと待て。
Three people with the same face.
今の相手は私。
ああ、
ごまかしは効かないだろうね。私が2人いるんだ。
There are two of me.
それどういうことだ。
この世界には双葉リオが2人いる。
Since 3 days
周期症
ago.
候群ってこと？止めたくないですけど。
Probably.
心当たりは？
対処してる。
僕が昼に本屋で会ったのはもう一人の。
ってないからそういうことだろうね。
How do you get to pick which one gets the phone?
迷惑してる。家に生活してくれてるおかげで。
Oh, wow.
それでネットカフェかよ。さっさと僕に。
It's like she replaced you.
今日から双葉をうちに泊めますけどいいですよね。
ダメよ。
え、だって双葉は友達。
私が家に男友達を泊めるって言ったら、サクタは OK する？
そうするのも嫌です。
でしょ？だから私も一緒に泊まる。
Yes! Oh, this is great. Kaide is in for a surprise.
人聞きが悪いな。彼女は友達の双葉リオ。
よろしく。あずさ川楓。
Aw. Kai's gonna have so many friends.
こっちの子は颯。
舞さんと双葉は僕の部屋で寝て、僕。
お兄ちゃんは楓の部屋で一緒に。
やっか、僕はリビングで寝る。
一旦家に戻って着替え取ってくる。お風呂もついでに済ませてくるから。
じゃあ双葉、風呂先にいいぞ。双葉で出し取った風呂のお湯でどうこうするつもりはないからな。
あずさ川、出しとか言ってる時点で死ね。
それはそうと、大丈夫か？
あずさ川がそこからいなくなれば場の外で落ち着く。
To
今
talk.
の大丈夫かは思春期症候群についてな。
よくわからない。なんて言わせたいの？
別に双葉の感想を聞きたいだけ。
少し怖い。
少しだけか。
カフェに一人の時はすごく怖かった。
Less scared now.
けどさ、こんなことってありえるのか？
マクロの世界で量子テレポーテーションが成立するなら可能性はあるかも。
マジか。
前に量子もつれの話はしたよね。
Mm-hmm.
例えば私を構築している情報の設計図があるとす
How
る
to
でしょ。
それ
construct.
簡単か？
量子もつれを利用して離れた位置に一瞬で移動させにある私を構築する情報は誰かに観測されることで新たに確定される。だから同時に存在しているのかと聞かれるとそうだとは言い切れない。
僕はスマホでもう一人の双葉と電話をしていた。
電話の相手は本当に私だった。
わけじゃないからな。ああ、でも量子テレポーテーションのが同じなら、どっちで観測されたとしても意識や記憶は一緒なんじゃないのか？
双葉リオを観測しているのが私自身だったとして、観測する私の意識が何らかの理由で2つ存在しているのだとしたらになるのかもしれない。
それって人格が2つあるってことか。そうだったとしてどうしてそんなことになった？
心当たりはないって言ったでしょ。
舞さん、何してんの？
サクタの顔を見てる。
いや、そうなんだけど。
彼氏の顔を見てる。
Oh my god.
ドキッとしたでしょ。
Yes.
Yes.
舞さん浮かれてる。
The cat's sleeping
久
together
しぶりに
too.
彼氏とゆっくり会えてお泊まりしてるんだから当たり前です。
双葉は
ぐっすり眠ってる。何日か安心して眠れなかったんじゃない？
That would
She
make
really
sense.
hasn't.
そうですか。
目の前にいる私より双葉さんが気になるんだ。はあ、
Green flag.
明日一日オフになったからデートしてあげようと思って。
何ですか？
だってサクタは双葉さんのこと調べるつもりでしょ。
科学部の活動で明日も学校だと思うので様子を見に行こうとは思ってました。
ほらやっぱり。
で舞さんにお願いが。
いや、ところに行ってる間本物の双葉さんがどうしてるか私に見ておけって言うんで。
舞さん、僕のことよくわかってる。
喜ぶな。
痛い。
喜ぶな。
というわけなんでお願いします。
仕事が忙しくてほったらかしにしたお詫びはチャラでいいわ。
Oh my god, no, you're cashing it
で
in.
欲しいな。
今添い寝してあげてる。
罪の鳴き声的な。あれ？
にお詫びを理由にしなくても時と場所と雰囲気をちゃんと選んでくれれば、サクタの方からしてくれてもいい。
舞さん、
何よ。
gonna get interrupted, right?
痛いわね。
恥ずかしいってうつむくから。
サクタがか。
It's happened to me.
舞さん。
今日はもうおしまい。サクタが下手くそだからじゃない。
That's what happened to me.
自信なくして女性恐怖症になりそう。どうは？
上手にできるようになるまで私が何
おー
をさせてあげるから。何よ。
すげえ
An
好きです。
angel.
知ってる。おやすみ。
はい。
Good night.
おやすみなさい。
お兄ちゃんこれ美味しいです。
これから舞さんに毎日作ってもらおうな。
楓ちゃんを利用するんじゃないよ。双葉さん、口に合わない？いえ、誰かとの朝食が久しぶりだったので。
Shoko?
Mm-hmm.
おはようございます、サクタさん。
Full
お
house.
はよ
Did you eat breakfast?
お客様ですか？
う。大丈夫だから上がって。
おはよう、しょうこちゃん。おはようございます。
彼女は双葉リオ、高校の同級生。
Futaba
木
thoughts.
原しょうこと言います。本当に実在したんだ。
I was gonna say maybe she's too busy with her own syndrome right now to think about it.
国見が練習試合やってるって言ってたな。
Is this fake a little bit different? Would she make a move on Kunimi?
Oh my god.
いるな。あれ、3年生かな。国見は活躍してんのか。
部活のついでに見に来ただけ。
双葉もキャー国見とかやったら。
応援ならしてる。
心の中で。
In your heart.
Hell yeah.
双葉は国見のどこに惚れたわけ？
He seems like an all-around sweet guy.
別にどうも。単なる興味。
チョココロネ。
ダッシュで買ってこいと？
違う。お弁当を持ってこなかった日に国見が。
Aww.
1年の1学期でパン販売を利用するのはあの日が始められている私に国見が声をかけてきた。
双葉は女子だから甘いものが好きだよな。
品のカレーパンを食べながら。
Battle trophy.
王子様だな。
The curry bread prince.
それで
That feels right.
チョココロネっていくら？
130円。
双葉ってお手軽なのな。
あずさ川だったら好きになってなかった。
結局顔かよ。
結局タイミングだと思う。
Timing.
だから気分が落ちてたから。で、あずさ川は何の用？
今さ、うちに双葉がいるんだよ。
なるほど。昨日の夜電話の様子がおかしかったの。
って何が起きてるんだろうな。
私のこと偽物だと。
正直最初はそう思ってた。けどこうして話してるとどっちも双葉だ。
I love that.
私の見解は。
可能性があるとすれば量子テレポーテーションだとか。
私と同じ考えだね。
But you know, two great minds together.
については。
心当たりはないってさ。
そんな嘘をあずさ川。
You believed a lie like that?
なんで嘘だと思う？
私には心当たりがある。
Yeah.
どっちに聞いても同じなら教えてくれ。
私部活に戻るから。はい。コーヒー入れるけど飲む？
This is so fucking cute.
妹なのでミルクと蜂蜜たっぷりのハニーカフェオレが好きです。楓さんと同じものをいただけると嬉しいです。そうしようかな。
Oh my god.
マネージャーからみたい。どうかしたんですか？
Kaidi's like trauma
大
response.
丈夫です。昨日まで撮影お疲れ様でした。彼氏？今彼氏って言いました？
ああ、さっきまでいたよな。気づいてたのかよ。試合が始まってすぐ。なんかあったら声かけろよ。お？双葉の子。夜中に連絡しても飛んでこいよ。空は飛べそうにないから飛ばしていくわ。
I believe it. He would notice that someone was hungry and he did the battle for the bread.
はい、あずさ川です。
舞さん、それもう一度お願いします。
あずさ川です。
It's your future together.
電話一本でよくそこまではしゃげるわね。そっちはどうだったの？
学校に来てました。
そう、こっちもずっといるわよ。もう帰ってこられる？
どうかしたんですか？
マネージャーから電話があってちょっとね話したいことがあるの。
なんでも。それじゃあ後で。
Look at Kaide's face.
Wow.
あの女と友達なのよね。
というのは察するに双葉のことか。
やばいことしてない？あの女。
やばいこと？
あの女の裏垢。
What?
語れな
What?
When we called her this other version of her that had the ponytail, she was like taking pictures.
Yeah. And we're having like Kaide react the way that she does with like the idea of a phone and a social atmosphere.
I'm also really curious by the fact that it's Kamisato bringing this, and I know she doesn't like Futaba, but she also is worried about her boyfriend's image, and she knows he's friends with Futaba, so maybe there's something there about like, hey, did you know about this?
Yeah.
Like, pay attention to your friend, maybe? Like, this is risky?
Like, even maybe assuming that he knew. Sakuta knew, you know?
Like, part of it could be coming from a good place,
Oh,
right?
no, for sure.
Oh, stop, they're both there!
Oh my god!
And it started with her in the coat, and then she ends up as the version of her with the ponytail.
That's so cute. Okay, that was Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, episode 7. That outro was phenomenal. I loved seeing what you had pointed out, Futaba being in her coat, and then that transitioning to her with her hair up. And I wonder what that means for, if anything, in terms of what the problem is here, what the issue is here, and what the solution might look like.
If there's an instance of someone splitting into multiple versions of themselves, you would think, especially by the visuals that we get from the outro, that what needs to come to pass and what needs to happen is not only did they have to accept the existence of these two versions of themselves, but others need to accept fully who they really are, and with that probably comes an admitting of truths that you're hiding.
That's interesting. That's where my mind first goes as well. You know, the idea that there could be something that either you're suppressing within yourself or suppressing a part of you, or maybe you're dealing with feelings like, you know, if Kunimi would like you if you were different, and that's maybe spurring a part of you to do it, and the other part of you is being like, no, I want to stay true to myself.
Right, it could be that. We could also look to Koga and what she told us about her transformation from when she moved kind of schools and came here. She started kind of dressing different, tried to do different things with her accent and kind of hide it. But she does like a lot of the changes that she made about herself, even though they are, in fact, changes into who she was to who she is now. And so we could be seeing something that someone is going against themselves completely, and they probably will hate who they're changing into, or we could see someone who is needing to kind of experiment and push their boundaries a little bit to discover maybe there are things they're suppressing or keeping themselves from doing that are in fact something they actually want to be or do, and they're going about it in a fashion that's not how you should be going about it. Like, if you want to be thought of as pretty or sexy or get the attraction of someone that you like, that's fine and completely fine. Of course you want someone that you like to like you back, but the way it seems that Futaba, this other version of her, the second her, is kind of translating that feeling of the desire to be looked at, the way she's translating it is not something that I would think she would want for herself or be happy with a change of.
I mean, it's interesting. If you're somebody who gets a lot of attention for one specific thing, you could go completely harshly in the opposite direction and want attention for something very different from what you're used to, you know, and feel appreciated and loved for that aspect of yourself. I do want to put out some like ideas or just thoughts out there that we've gotten throughout this episode, right? One iteration, the one without the ponytail, the one who isn't posting these things seemingly, is the one who isn't at home right now. Yeah. They haven't been at home for these 3 days. And that could lead to something. We don't know what Futaba's home life is like necessarily. The Futaba with the ponytail, the one who seems to be posting, they seem to have a clue as to why this is happening in the first place, and they decide not to tell Sakuta what that thought is or idea is, and we don't know why that decision is made. Is it because we think and claim that the other Futaba is lying, and the fact that they won't even admit to themselves that there's a problem and look at it, it breeds resentment, and it breeds a different part of you being like, look, it's like, I'm right here, don't just look through me, don't intentionally not like act like I'm not there. Is it frustration of that leads this version of Futaba to not, you know, say anything and divulge anything to Sakuta.
Okay, I want to talk about that specific line and scene. You believe a lie like that, because you could read into it of, are you really that gullible to believe that I don't know what could have possibly even had an ounce of an impact on what has happened here? I could have told you everything that happened 3 days ago. If we're saying this happened, two versions of myself happened 3 days ago, I would have walked you through what happened 3 days ago, even if maybe none of it could have made sense initially in that moment. And I think that you could read into it, you believe a lie like that. Is there a part of you when you say something like that to someone else that's like, why are you stopping there for me? Or are being maybe worried that someone is stopping there, that they're just believing the lie and then they're moving about without trying to dig deeper and figure out what's actually there. And they're just trusting what it is that she said. And another way that I could have read it, and I kind of did in the moment, is she's comfortable and able to say that it's a lie because it wasn't her that said it, it was the other her. And so she's able to kind of push it off onto the other person, almost like the responsibility of owning up to the truth is on the other version of her. Like, go ask her again, I'm telling you it's a lie, so I don't have to be the one that says it out loud. The other me is the one that says it out loud.
Yeah. Another question to pose out there is the idea of, do both Futabas know that this account exists, or is it just the one who's been posting? Also, it seems like what the profile picture for this account is that of the Chaco coronet, which is what Kunimi had given to her, which is incredible.
Which,
and
if
that's what the name of the, et is. But
yeah, if he found this account and Kamisato presented the phone with this account to Kunimi, which obviously she's not going to do because she would have done that first if that's what she was going to do, but like, I can think of many reasons why she wouldn't have done that, he would immediately know it was her, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Kunimi's seen it even, because like he goes out of his way to want to know if anything happens. He wants to be called if anything happens so that he can bike over. And is that coming from a place of knowing nothing and just being a genuine awesome person? Because he is, because I think so. But also it could be because he might be aware that something's happening, but he doesn't necessarily feel like he should be the one to address it.
I definitely feel like my current read of him is he's just a really great friend who isn't filled in on all the details. And I feel like he does not know about this account. And if anything, I don't think he would be awful to her if he knew about it. I think he would probably be very deeply concerned about her if he saw the account or knew about it. Which is maybe another reason why Kamisato wouldn't want to tell him about it, because then he would be calling Futaba and being like, we need to talk, like, what are you doing here, are you okay? And biking over even more so, which Kamisato would absolutely hate. She wants them to be further apart, not closer together.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like, think, it's interesting, because it's not necessarily a situation that I'm watching a series where there's a big, like, question mark problem that I'm necessarily trying to solve. I'm, like, curious about what the details are going to be in terms of it being a example of the adolescence syndrome and just another iteration of it down to the specifics. Like, one of the really interesting moments of the episode is in the net cafe when we're actually seeing Futaba. I was wondering if we were going to get anything there because, like, ooh, maybe the second that we see Futaba walking, the other Futaba on the phone stops, like, having a voice or something. But it seemed like the Futaba on the phone was talking while we were seeing her move. So trying to, like, delve into the details of, like, what happened 3 days ago, why what happened 3 days ago would elicit such a massive example of the adolescent syndrome. Like, trying to figure that out isn't as on my main stage of a table as just like, oh my god, I want to see what happens and watch it.
Yeah. I feel like there's a few things in terms of trying to understand. I have somewhat of theories of why this happened in terms of an actual event that spurred on a splitting into two. And I will talk about that after I say my next point.
Is it the end of July?
It wasn't as specific as, like, the dates and times.
Mine is because our first date is August 2nd, and, like, 3 days prior to then being the end of July could be something, you know?
Gotcha.
And we're getting, like, what we were wearing. I don't know. Go on, though.
But what I wanted to talk about was that this current adolescent syndrome, I feel like it while the past ones I feel like have made a lot of sense of why there's this visual representation or this physical representation of these kind of emotional ideas and how they would manifest, and there's something about it that makes sense. I feel like there's a couple things in the real world in terms of mental health that I can latch onto to kind of make sense of what's currently happening to Futaba. Obviously, this is not, I'm not saying these are necessarily the case, but they're things that it reminds me of. One of those things being there are instances with people that go through trauma or childhood episodes of PTSD, complex PTSD, that then have like a hypersexualization when they're older that kind of manifest from what transpired in their trauma and in their past. And also there's commonly with young people, as they're kind of exploring who they are in their body, sometimes that does lend to the idea of people kind of putting themselves in situations for attention and validation because on the immediacy it feels good to have that attention. And I would say the third thing is like dissociative identity disorder. The idea of kind of that protection being put forward, you split into another version of yourself, this some other version that almost works this job somewhat of a protector of you because of suppression and trauma. And so those are things that I can kind of grab onto to try to start to make sense of why are we getting this? What is the manifestation of the adolescence syndrome? Like, how are we visually seeing it represented?
Okay, I like that a lot. Because like I like that a lot and the approach to it a lot because hear me out. Going into this episode, I for a second was like, fuck you, just give me Shoko Makinohara. Like, just focus on Shoko Makinohara. That's all I want, right? 3 minutes in, I didn't give a shit anymore. Like we'll figure it out at some point. Let me focus on, well, specifically okay. To get to your point, right? The idea of what could be happening that could result in this adolescent syndrome. One of the things that was massively jarring and chilling and kind of took me out of my seat for a second was seeing Kaide's reaction to the phone call that Mai was having. Mm-hmm. Having Kaide within this episode in the way that she was utilized, I think towards the end was incredibly intentional and so well done. And that would have me believing that going forward within Futaba's own experience or her own life or thoughts, there could be a bridging of themes or trauma or what somebody has to go through in terms of a phone or social media or groups talking about somebody based off of this anonymous account or based off of her real account, you know?
I feel like the two themes, I'm glad you brought up Kaide because I feel like Kaide was my moment in this episode where even though it was later on in the episode than Shoko being first introduced again in the very beginning of the episode, Kaide's look to Mai answering the phone and hearing the phone ring was my moment of kind of shutting down the desire, not the desire to see what the other characters were up to, but I was so incredibly focused in that moment that I wanted resolution like now. I wanted to bang on the table, be like, no, don't leave Kaide. Yeah. We just got that look. Do not, this is I'm seeing a very vulnerable moment and it scares me that we're leaving it.
Yeah.
It's scary because it's, yes, even though we left it and we see something else and we see what other people are doing, I think we immediately go to like Sakuta talking to Kunimi or something like that. We leave it and I'm like, that makes me scared because there's still thoughts going on in her head even though we're over here.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty terrifying.
And
to me.
like I'm doing my best to not just like go on an unhinged tangent about Mai at the moment, so I'm not going to for now. But like one of the first things that she does, Mai realizes it. She leaves the room for that phone call. And then when we get her calling Sakuta again to ask, when are you coming home soon?
She doesn't use her cell phone.
Yeah, she doesn't use her cell phone. And we get to see Kaide's expression as well as Shoko's and how they're different from one another. And it's obvious that had repercussions on Kaide.
But while I'm glad that you brought up Kaide for the idea of is Kaide being utilized for the themes that we should grab onto for Futaba, I would probably summarize or umbrella term these two themes I can think of as like the phone and lonely. And I would go with, obviously the phone I feel like is kind of self-explanatory. We have this other Futaba, the second Futaba, beginning to post things online, and we're introduced to that in the end of the episode. And then with Kaide, we know about the phones, and we know what Sakuta did with his own cell phone because of Kaide and her relationship with the phones. So we can just kind of, I think, shelf the phones. Like, that might be the purpose that theme is serving as a bridge from one character to another. So I want to talk more about the loneliness, because I feel like that gets into what I am thinking currently is my theory of what actually, the event that transpired, or the thing that actually created this manifestation of adolescence
you go
syndrome.
for loneliness now, and then after loneliness, I want to talk about my thought, which is aftermath and the approach to dealing with it.
Okay. So I'm going to start my thought with talking about Kaide. And what's happening with Kaide, I feel like, is kind of summed up a little bit with Mai and Sakuta's little conversation as she comes out and lays on the floor with him. They bring up the idea of the fact that they could go on a date the next day, but they're not going to because Sakuta's worried about Futaba, and he's asking Mai to take care of the other Futaba while he is going to take care of the other and figure out what's going on with her, even though as boyfriend and girlfriend they haven't been going on dates, and she's been working and now he's busy. So we have that idea being introduced. But with Kaide, why I'm bringing it up is Kaide had her brother's probably full attention for most of what she had gone through in the aftermath of it, up until he met Mai.
This is the biggest Kaide crisis within Kaide at the moment. I think she
brought up
the
Kaide crisis, right? It's great that he wants to help others, and I'm sure she would not want to deny her brother helping others. But when you're helping others and you're so busy, do some things fall through the cracks? You really can't hold everyone up on a pedestal, you know? You have to be able to, you have to divert your gaze a little bit if you're trying to help someone. But unfortunately, what's going to happen to the other people that almost need your attention currently
or
for
used
their
to
survival,
a lot of it,
or are used to a lot of it, accustomed to a lot of it. You've maybe somewhat enabled or gotten Kaide accustomed to how much attention she had from her brother. She lives in this house just with him.
Mai even said the other episode trying to take steps to get her to want to be able to like push the boundaries a little bit more.
And with him being so busy, her one connection, her one person to talk to is being ripped away. Do I think that that's manifesting a little bit in why she's appeared multiple times within his bed in the morning when he wakes up? I think that might actually be a current thing that's been happening because of how busy he has been since the series started. The idea that the attention is getting diverted elsewhere. And so why that leads me into Futaba of what I think is kind of the catalyst. Obviously, Kunimi is the highlight. Kunimi's the crush, the person that she has affection for, and he has a girlfriend. Sure, he had a girlfriend at the beginning of the series. We entered this series with him having a girlfriend. But Sakuta now also has a girlfriend. Her two only friends that she talks to during the day, or that she has their cell phone numbers and talks to, her two friends now are leading busier lives than when she initially became friends with them in the first year of school. They both have other people that they are tending to, that they're going on dates with, that they're hanging out with, that they're texting, that they're talking to, that they might want to share lunch with.
Okay, I have a question for you. In the vein of how you're talking about the theme of loneliness, do you think that Futsuba's actions or how she'd be dealing with the loneliness or the potential loneliness in the situation would have been changed in how she's approaching it and dealing with it, like that other half of herself, because of seeing what loneliness or not being seen does to somebody like Mai Sakurajima? Like, oh, I have to be sure because I'm in this situation that these two people that I was always around and they have their own lives now and I'm not being seen as much. I have to make sure I'm getting attention somewhere so I don't just fade away to nothingness and nobody remembers me or can see me. So I'll have like a presence somewhere else that's just unnatural to me, you know?
The idea of trying to create a bigger presence for yourself to see if it widens your circle or gets people's attention So for my, she tries the bunny girl outfit. Like, come on. How could people not look at her and notice her when she's in this bunny girl outfit walking around a library? How could they not?
When Mai did that, it was like more so like a test to determine that this had already happened. But within Futsuba's approach, it would be because
it doesn't.
Yeah, because she's experienced adolescent syndrome before, you know?
She's heard about it and she knows about it. Would you then if you know that something could exist, would you then do precautionary measures to, if you see that you could be heading down a road where you have these unconfessed feelings and you have exactly what is the making of an adolescent syndrome coming your way, would you put out some precautionary measures, or would you think to? Maybe. But yeah, so the loneliness, the idea of who knows what her family life is like. I think you already said that. She does say, as she's sitting at the table eating breakfast in the morning with everyone, that it feels really nice to eat with everyone. She hasn't done it in a while.
Yeah, good point.
You could say, well, she hasn't done it in a while, and that while is the 3 days that she's been kind of surfing around a net cafe. Or you could broaden that and say maybe she means in a while. Like maybe her home life, her parents aren't around, which could definitely lead to, if we talk about Kaede feeling like her one person that lives in her home that is her family is becoming busier and out of the house more. Futaba, what if she's also dealing with that at home as well, that there aren't people at home either. The friends are busy, but also the family is busy and unattainable. For Mai, her mother's unattainable for her. This is a kind of common theme with the families that possibly might be happening. We have friends and families, and are they going to be too busy for you? Are they going to be able to be there to support you? So that's my current theory of what happened, is that even though she would never like to admit that Sakuta getting a girlfriend might have pushed her here, in the last tipping point, but at the moment that's what it feels like for me.
I like it a lot. So you went with loneliness. I'm gonna go to aftermath, or like the approach to have to deal with a falling out or the aftermath of something, right?
Okay.
So it would be very easy to imagine a hypothetical where people do find out about Futsuba's account and it is spread all across the school and everybody knows about it, and that sounds like a devastating reality. Fair? There was also a devastating reality that Kaede had to face within her own adolescent syndrome, and what she had to deal with that. And because of the position Sakuta was in, he was dealing with it very much in the same time, in the same moment. And there was one factor that made it so that he was able to get through it. One person that was absolutely instrumental within the Kaede situation. Who was that person? Shoko. If Shoko Makinohara was the person in the future to be able to get him through that time, would something happen now that just because of the person Shoko inherently is, something that she could say or she could offer, elicit a response or advice or a positive outcome of change to deal with the situation that we're in now, or a situation that might come that's even worse than what we're in now? If people do figure this out, would Shoko, even though she's young now, be able to provide a perspective? Or potentially, does this situation and dealing with it enlighten her and give her what she needs to, in the future, give Sakuta the advice that she does give him and is instrumental with him?
True. Okay, so something that I would like to say in regard to what you just said, if she could be instrumental here, almost like her presence here could be somewhat of a blessing. We don't know what led her to be the person that she is, to be impactful to Sakuta. And as you kind of had glanced by it, what if this is just who she is, and that was who she was, and there wasn't an event that Sakuta was even maybe involved in that led her to be the person she was able to be on that beach where she talked to him in the way that she did? What if this is inherently who she is? And even as a 7th grader, this is who she is. Oftentimes, hearing things like advice from someone, it can mean, depending on the moment, depending on the time, it probably can be impactful or mean the most if it comes from someone older than you that you look up to, or younger than you that you are then surprised that they are wise beyond their years or able to think in a way that almost embarrasses you that you are not able to have that same thought that, wow, this 7th grader is coming out with saying this and this awareness that they have. And what am I? I'm not someone for her to look up to. So what she could do at her age, there's still room for her at her age to be incredibly impactful.
We also learned that she doesn't have any siblings. I like that we went that route, made sure nobody in the family looks similar. We're crossing all of our T's and dotting our I's in that regard. I don't know. I just thought that the idea, because it was hammered home from Sakuta how important Shoko was in overcoming their issues, like because of the circumstances they're in. Their mom couldn't deal with it, you know? But yeah, so I wanted to bring that up. Now, I would like to go ahead and say that Mai Sakurajima is amazing and a perfect character, and I love her so much. I adore her so much, and a lot of it isn't just her, it's Sakuta as well, but this is one of the best relationships on screen or most enjoyable relationships on screen that I've been able to see. Every second of them together, that's what I was kind of referring to earlier when I was like, man, what the fuck? Show me Shoko Makinohara. Why? You showed it to me. There was a cat in a box in Shoko Makinohara with an umbrella. Why aren't we going down that beat? But no, I don't give a shit because it's Mai Sakurajima. Like their relationship with each other, they're bumping into heads on the next attempt at trying to kiss each other. Their relationship and like in Benny's, right? And the idea of like, oh yeah, you're pouting. There's a layer of understanding why both people might be feeling upset or the way that they are, and internally before this meetup, while they're still separated, they probably overcome that thought and they're like, well, yeah, that's me being stupid and selfish and I'm past that, so it's not enough to voice or whatever. So it's brought up in this interaction in like a more playful, bitty way, but it still acknowledges that those feelings were there with the fun outcome that both understand each other of like, oh, well, I would be getting this from it. And then this would be like, I would be getting maybe this from it. And it's just, there's so much acceptance and openness in communication. And a lot of that comes down to the respect you're giving the other person of what they're able to do within their own head and what they're able to think through within their own head.
It definitely breeds like an era up. It breeds an aura of kind of validation. I feel like the most frustrating thing, if you were talking about another character in the same situation, would be the other person coming at it with defensiveness if you were approaching the emotions of not being able to see your significant other for a prolonged period of time because of how busy they are. Some people would meet that with defensiveness because they don't like to confront the idea that they made their partner sad, or that something about their lives or them being busy made their partner sad, even if their partner is not trying to blame them or guilt them or be mad at them.
Yeah, so like what's happening is that Mai Sakurajima is sitting apart from Sakuta before they're in Benny's, and she's saying to herself, man, I wish that I could see Sakuta. Man, I bet Sakuta wishes he could see me. Oh my god, we're in a new relationship and I'm the one who's traveling. I'm the one who's leaving. I wonder, like, I feel bad. I wonder how Sakuta feels about that. You know, he might have the right to be a little upset with me, but wait, Sakuta wouldn't be upset with me. He might miss me, but he wouldn't be upset with me like that. That's not the person he is. And that's why all of that is already happened. And that's why this conversation's able to happen the way that it is.
If it hadn't already happened, then the next meeting they have is just going to have to be a conversation.
Yeah.
Where it didn't need to, they could have had those thoughts and stuff and the kind of resolution of the thoughts internally on their own and come to that kind of understanding of both of their places in this relationship and what has transpired and how they might be feeling. Now they don't have to talk about it. Now they can just focus on like being together.
Yeah, but still talking about it and acknowledging it.
But it's not like the whole, it's not taking up as much room because it doesn't need to take up that much room.
It's just so refreshing and it's so great, and I love characters who are in a it's harder to write a relationship that is done maturely and communicated maturely and in a great way, because one, you have to overcome the idea of, holy shit, it's almost like a softball that there are so many tropes in a relationship that you can write about, right? No. To solidify such a great relationship and dichotomy between two characters so early on in a series is absolutely profound, and I am enjoying every second of it, even if it has nothing to do with the adolescent syndrome, even if it has nothing to do with Shoko Makinohara. I am loving it.
I think that maybe more of my love and enjoyment, other than loving romance, I think a lot of it probably does come from the fact that I am watching the show with my significant other. And so I am seeing within certain aspects of my and Sakata's relationship healthy activities, healthy speaking to each other, healthy working through problems with still being able to be playful and still being able to be honest with their feelings, even if said feeling might be hurtful or a little bit on the negative side. They're able to come to a place of understanding each other and the awareness that they have that we're both people, we're both humans, and we both feel things, and we're not going to guilt each other about that. I feel like I watch a lot of aspects of their relationship thus far in the series, and I'm like, wow, that way of communication that they just did there is something that I actively try to employ to continue having a healthy relationship with my significant other. Like, I want to be able to speak to my partner in a way that is positive and playful, even if there might be some heavier, more sad feelings involved. Like, hey, you've been kind of busy and I haven't been able to see you and I really missed you. Like, that can exist at the same time as love and positivity and playfulness.
I think it all comes down to effort. And what I mean by effort is it's loaded because it's a lot of trust in the other person and the other party. You have to both be in a position that you are having full faith and full trust that the other person is doing their best to not hurt you and have your good fortune and your heart and mind. And it's risky. It's the riskiest thing because it's the most fragile thing. But when you are both able to put that effort forward and have that there's always going to be issues, but god damn is it amazing when you're able to get through things and even touch on like feelings that maybe you're embarrassed about having or shy about having or scared about having, but you're able to do it in like a less serious way because you know the person that you're talking to is on the same team and are striving for.
They want to be on your team.
Yeah.
So it's easier to say things that are I mean, even from a non-romantic relationship aspect, like, I feel like Koga gets to a place with Sakata where she feels comfortable with honest and uncomfortable feelings being shared between the two of them, and her highlighting her awareness of some of the negative things that she's felt and done. It comes from that place of knowing that the person that you're speaking to is listening and wants the best for you, and they are actively there for you.
Okay.
So yeah, it's fun to watch.
Question for you. We get the idea of the manager being surprised about Sakata existing, there being a boyfriend, and then we get a talk coming with Mai. Yep. What do you imagine that's going to be?
An actual meeting with her where it's not the sad meeting we got with her mom on the beach.
Well, it's not going to be her mom, right?
It's the new manager.
Yeah. So like, I'm like, what is it gonna be like? Like, my mind immediately goes to like, okay, if you are famous and you're a star and a lot of people and you're rising in the industry, maybe it isn't the best thing to have a public boyfriend.
Unless you made it like, maybe there would be an actual, not press release, but some official pictures being taken. Like, if you are going to have a boyfriend and we're not going to try to hide it, then maybe we try to give him some PR training and we try to present you like, we launch your relationship.
How would
like,
that
hey,
fit into this
Mai's
arc?
in this relationship.
Damn. I don't know. That was definitely something that was brought up, though, and I imagine we're going to be hearing about it again.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite moments this episode was between Futaba and Kunimi, and the idea that Sakata brings, being like, oh, it's that cheap to buy you from just getting you a Choco Coronet in terms of your love. And Futaba says something that was really kind of profound in a very simple way. It was the timing in the end. I think that's extraordinarily important. It's what she needed
it the most.
Yeah.
It was her first year, and we definitely have seen that she's a character that doesn't have she's not super comfortable going out of her way to make friends. The reason Sakuta is her friend is because Kunimi met her first, and he gave her Sakuta's number, and he introduced the two of them and kind of made them a group of 3 friends. And it's because of his influence there that her school life probably dramatically changed. She had something to look forward to, people to talk to. Huge.
Yeah. All right. I have 3 more things. They're all really quick.
Okay.
4 more things. Sorry. I'll start with the one that I just thought of, which is what you brought up, which is Kamisato's intentions, which I think is really interesting because
I'm a little bit torn on it.
I think it comes from a place of she was just kind of probably shocked to see this and was like, whoa, what the fuck? This is probably getting more out of hand than even Sakuta knows. I'm going to go to Sakuta right now.
Okay, because why do you present it? Why do you present it? If you have... Okay,
it's multifaceted.
Yes. I think it is complex. The question, why would you present these photos to Sakuta and tell him about what Futaba is doing? Stop. Okay, there we go from that. And we were asking ourselves that question. What would she do if she was approaching this from the jealousy that we've seen her display, or the kind of trying to protect Kunimi's image? She would possibly approach this with talking about Futaba negatively behind her back to her friends or other people, kind of spreading this in a way that she could, because she could latch onto it as a way to distance Futaba from Kunimi, right? You could think that she could think of it that way, like, oh, if I get Futaba negative attention further from what she's doing, Kunimi will have to be separated from her. Or she knows her boyfriend well enough to know, well, Sakuta had a horrible reputation and he didn't leave his friend behind Sakuta. He, stayed friends with him. So maybe there is some, positive intention here of, hey, I know my boyfriend isn't going to stop being friends with this girl, especially if things go wrong here. So you need to do something about this.
In a hypothetical world that Kamisato would have seen everything that we saw this episode, she would have been able to deduce that not only this is a secret account from Futaba, but the account had the same as a Chaco Coronet, which is directly connected to Kunimi. Therefore, it could be an extremely obvious attempt with from somebody with all of that information to say that Futaba was directly trying to make a play at Kunimi, it could even get to that regard of it. But it did come off as this is just getting fucking crazy. I have my own feelings too, but you see this, right?
I feel like at the moment I'm going to say that she's focusing in on it from the perspective of thinking about what the fallout will be for her boyfriend.
Yeah.
For her boyfriend, who will probably try to get on his bike and go for Futaba if she needs help. She's looking out for what more trouble could be brought from more people finding out this account and also who is behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably purely where she's coming from, is that's just going to add more to his image that might be negative, and she doesn't want that, or she doesn't want more hassle in his life. Maybe there is somewhat of love there of caring for Kunimi and doesn't want a bunch of awful things happening surrounding him, or doesn't want him to have to go through any trouble, or it's purely just about protecting his image. Who knows with that one? But I love that we have tried to talk about the reason why.
So that one wasn't that quick, I guess. These other ones, though, are, I promise. White Cat, Hayate.
Mm-hmm.
We got a name.
We got a name.
Thank you. Number 2, last episode when I was editing, I think it was last episode, when we were getting all the different iterations of the beach day.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure that all of the sandcastles were different from Sakuta in his approach of redoing it. And I wanted... Oh, God, is this quick, too? I didn't want to just point it out, because...
You wanted to double check that it was actually
No, because I wanted to be okay, is this another... what was the word that he used? Taking hints but choosing not to? Was that something to put out?
Yeah.
And see if Koga responded in any way?
It's so subtle. He didn't change anything huge about the date. They still built sandcastles.
I'm going to bring that up just to make sure I'm not hallucinating it while you're going, if that's okay.
But the idea that he might have been subtly changing little things to get her to be thinking.
Yeah.
To get her to notice. See if she was taking the hints before he inevitably has to kind of spell things out for her and give her a platform to speak on. it makes me wonder if there were any other micro actions.
That's a great
any
question.
other micro, like, is there something about the flavor of like the shaved ice that he gets, or how fast he eats it, or how he eats it, the way he goes about eating it? Wait, yes, I think I saw in a thumbnail that he had green shaved ice in one of the thumbnails, and I just saw him with blue, I think, in another.
All right, can you write down 1209?
1209.
Green ice.
I feel like we're investigators right now.
I think the ice has been green the entire time.
Okay.
Okay, so these two are definitely different, right?
Yep.
I'm trying to make it so we can show it on screen. So these two at least were different. But like the idea or concept of that being put out there with the same intention, maybe, of it being like, let me prod it a little bit with the hint, even if it doesn't result in anything, or it's just like, why the fuck am I gonna build the same castle again, you know?
Also, because you know that you're the person you're on a date with is someone who is hyper aware of like social cues, because of how she's been trying to actively kind of protect her image. She had to be hyper aware of social cues in order to be friends in the friend group that she was in, because it seemed like it was high intensity friend group there. Yeah. And so he's putting out things like little hints like the sandcastle. You could say, oh, well, wouldn't you be bored building the same sandcastle multiple times in a row? Or could you even replicate building the same exact thing multiple days in a row? You could make a good go at it, but could it really be exact? I don't know. But I like the idea of talking about it more as, is he trying to put out hints there because he knows that she should and would notice?
My last thing, when we were like 2 minutes and 56 seconds into the episode, is when we got Futaba taking the selfies. And without thinking about it, because she's wearing a ponytail, I wrote Futaba pony pics. That's my last thing. Do you have anything else?
No, I can't top that.
Okay. Well, going forward with our curry bread prince, I hope everything works out, and I'm excited, and I love the show so much. I love the show.
I'm excited, but I am maybe a little bit nervous.
That's fair. It's okay to be nervous. Sometimes you're nervous before the best thing in life's about to happen to you. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
You good?
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you next time.